Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is, at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is politics done right.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today. When I say we are going to have a great show, that's what I mean. You saw that picture with Daniel Cohen, who is Indivisible Houston's president. And we're also going to talk about, after Daniel goes off to his meeting, we're going to talk about Oprah Winfrey. Should Oprah Winfrey be running for president? Let me tell you, the name of the program today is what? Indivisible Houston's president, Daniel J. Cohen, and say no to President Oprah. So you already know where I stand on that. Say no to President Oprah. My subtitle for the show is Progressives Need to Work on Solutions and Not Gimmicks. What do we need to work on, folks? Solutions and not gimmicks. So anyhow, we're going to have a great program. I'm going to bring in Daniel Cohen right now. Daniel, and then we're going to get the initial promo. I just want to say hi, Daniel. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, Egberto?
We are doing great. We're going to have a great show. You've been working very hard in Houston. I like to say that what you're doing is you're gathering all the cats together. You're rounding out all the cats being all the activists here in town to make sure that we get a job done, the job that we're going to have to get done in 2018, 2020, and going forward. What do you have to say about that?
I think that it'd be extremely difficult to create feline protests, Egberto.
Okay, Daniel, I hear about that. But anyhow, folks, Politics Done Right Daily's first week is proceeding very well with a few hiccups here and there. We have not yet integrated our telephone system with Blog Talk Radio and our Wirecast broadcast software and Behringer mixer. But we are going to have that done. I promise you that we're going to have that done soon. I just had some stuff submitted to these guys at the technical support sites for them, and they're going to give us a hand. So in the interim, submit your questions to Facebook Live, for the show Politics Done Right with Egberto Willies on Facebook Live, as well as if you want to send it on Twitter, you can send it to hashtag Politics Done Right to my Twitter feed at Egberto Willies. We are going to have a great show today. The show starts with Indivisible Houston's president, Daniel J. Cohen. I was giving Daniel a hard time earlier because, it's Daniel J. Cohen. We want to make sure it's not Donald J. Trump. Okay, Daniel Cohen. But anyhow, he will be discussing grassroots activisms in Houston, Texas, and in the United States, and in Houston, Texas, in Texas in particular. We will talk about going beyond the Democratic Party or any party for that matter and answering the people's needs directly. How does that translate into electing the proper candidate? How is a lasting trust built to ensure that an impending political wave is sustainable? I want you guys to remember what occurred in 2006. We also had a political wave. Was it sustainable? We also had Barack Obama. Was it sustainable? We had Barack Obama twice. Barack Obama was sustainable. The wave was not. The Democratic Party followed the lead of the Democratic Party. President Obama followed the lead of President Obama, which we will also discuss distinctly what that means. Yesterday, I had a blog post from Corbyn, who discussed what they in the party in England, and it's something that we ought to do here. It is something that I've actually seen Daniel Cohen, Indivisible president, and many others doing as well, something that we need to make sure to do. So anyhow, following Daniel, I'll talk about the newest progressive fad. All right, folks, we are back. We had a fatal crash on the new Wirecast software, version 8 of the software that came down, which affected the program and the feed. And unfortunately, Daniel Cohen could not stay for the program because he had another appointment at 3:30. But we will be continuing with the program as we spoke of before. Daniel Cohen was going to be talking about all the work that's being done with Indivisible Houston here in Houston, Texas, and actually throughout the country. What they're trying to do is work with other groups and work and have independent actions where they encourage encourage the citizenry to get engaged. And you know what? It has been working more than ever before. What we are starting to notice is most Americans are in fact engaging in the body politic. One of the things that we've been concerned about over several periods of time is whether most of the people will stay engaged throughout the entire time. What I've articulated to many is yes, they will. And why will they? Because for two reasons. We are going to stay engaged with them. First of all, we will be staying engaged with them. Secondly, we will ensure that, or rather things are in a position right now where they really don't have a choice. Really, very few people have a choice as far as what to do. So today, the second part of the program is supposed to be about Oprah Winfrey. Everybody is talking now about Oprah Winfrey running for president of the United States. I'd be interested to see what most of you think about it. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and check the Twitter code, see if there are folks talking about it. But a lot of people think that Oprah Winfrey maybe will be the on-Trump. In other words, we had this celebrity running, Donald Trump, and guess what? America elected a celebrity. Would they do that again? Would they elect a celebrity again? Well, we don't really... Personally, I don't know, but the reality is we shouldn't. There's so much occurring in this country right now that the one thing we don't need is another celebrity politician. What we need right now is somebody who's going to get the job done. And that's what we all should be working towards. So without further ado, what I'm going to do is go into what you guys know we do here.
It's time for the weekly blog post.
Okay, what is the weekly blog post about today? What is the weekly blog post about today? It is simple. The title of the blog post is Indivisible Houston President Daniel Cohen, or rather, that was the beginning of our program. What we want to do is get to the blog of the week. And what the blog of the week is going to be about is Senora Oprah Winfrey. Should Oprah Winfrey run for president of the United States? And my answer to that is a categorical no. No to President Oprah. She would just prolong the country's economic dysfunction. And this has nothing to do with Oprah proper. Oprah is an intelligent woman. Oprah is a successful woman. But hear what I think about it. Oprah gives a great speech at an award show, and suddenly, she is ready to be president of the United States. President Oprah is not the answer to neither the country's dysfunction or its systemic, economic, and other problems. And here's why. Oprah would just be another billionaire or celebrity leading a country where the wards of the plutocracy would have their technocrats not roll her all over. The technocrats would come in and the technocrats would do what? They'll roll her over. There's no doubt about that. Ronald Reagan, Bill Clinton, George Bush, and Donald Trump were all rolled by the plutocracy. Now, President Obama, while suffering some of the same circumstances, understood the plutocracy and played it the best he could under the circumstances. Now, again, some people would say, oh, Obama had the same problems. Obama was just like a Clinton. And no, when you pass a massive social program, more massive than any other program, you cannot and you change 1/6 of the economy, you cannot say that president was the same as the others who passed piecemeal issues on many other subjects. It is doubtful that Oprah understands the systemic failure of our economic system. After all, it has allowed her to amass several $billions. So in effect, what you find with Oprah is Oprah is also a part of the system. She's playing the game. She's playing the game like anybody else. But Oprah is also a part of the system, which makes her a part of the problem. An economic system in which a marginal effort or idea relative to others and implemented by others can create such a disparity in income and wealth is a failure. In other words, Oprah is a great woman. I don't want to take any of that away from her. But how much better is she in what she does than many other people? But it turns out that there was some dynamic within our economic system that allowed that to occur. The same we can say with singers. Many people go to churches and they see the people in those churches who are great singers and they sound better than a lot of people who have contracts and records and all the while. And you always ask, how comes that one and not that one? Was it something within or some other reasons? We don't quite know, but there's one thing I know. If they're doing the same thing and somehow one gets ahead and the other does not, it tells a story about the dysfunction within an economic system. Anyhow, going further, would President Oprah sign a bill that restructures our economy to redistribute ill-gotten gains? She likely would not. She likely would not. Bill Gates is a good guy. He has given away most of his wealth. But the reality is that within our current economic system, Gates got it legally. Notice I said he got it. Bill did not earn it. The hundreds of thousands of workers that built Microsoft's product did. Bill Gates' extreme wealth is the potential income and appreciation not given to those workers for their successful implementation or their successful implementing of Gates' idea, which in fact was never his initially. If you study what Gates did, Gates was a great marketer, right? He went ahead and got products from all over the place and marketed them under the title Microsoft. So we cannot say that he made his fortune off of his God-given intellect, but he made his fortune off of the intellect of many others. Is that wrong? In our economic system, it is not wrong. Stockbrokers make more money than anybody else. The engineer who invents the thing, the teacher who teaches the persons who invent. All these are the people who produce. These are the people who make material gains. But based on the economic model that we follow, they are not the beneficiaries of any of those gains, which is why many times I call these ill-gotten gains. It's not that it's illegal, but it's just that comparatively, it isn't earned. It isn't earned. We have a system that allows that. And what we have to do in this country is start to revise the way we think about things, because we were indoctrinated into, but we'll cover that a little further later. The same applies to Oprah Winfrey, same as Bill Gates, of course, is what I'm trying to say. Same applies to Oprah Winfrey. Many subordinates cooperatively worked with her to make her the success she is. Is she worth that much more than her researchers, analysts, designers, and others who helped her along? I think not. The same applies to Warren Buffett, Jeff Bezos, and any billionaire and super millionaire. The economic problem in America is systemic. It is systemic. First, it requires the dis-indoctrination of Americans who believe our system is divine. It is not. It is a human-made, designed to enrich a few and maintain a pecking order that allows a type of benign slavery. And people kind of wonder, what do I mean by a benign slavery? A benign slavery is one where you don't get your butt whipped or you don't get your body sliced or anything like that. That's the benign slavery I'm talking about. You know, slavery is no longer color-based in the world. It is class-based. So if you take a look at what we're saying here, what we're trying to tell folks is, in effect, whenever you look at a wealthy person, whenever you look at a wealthy corporation, whenever you look at any of these items, these folks that have, remember, it was not built by them only. And when they talk about redistribution of their monies, when they talk about taking away something that they've earned, that they've made, it is important for us to never allow them to get away with making that statement, because we are the ones, the average American citizen, the average person in the world is the one who has given them the wherewithal to attain what they've attained. And many times it's on the backs of many others, and it's on the backs of many who have actually provided and done more. The second item we must elect is as follows: that if we really want to move forward, not about electing an Oprah Winfrey or anything, but if we really want to move forward, the second item is we must elect informed Congress people and senators who are willing to buck the system. They will face many headwinds. And after all, the implementation of the Powell Manifesto has caused a near total indoctrination of many Americans and the political class. Look, we are made to believe that somehow our system is the best. That's okay. It's all right to always think that your system is the best. It is always okay to think that you are the best. That doesn't make it so. I can think that I'm the best looking person on the planet. Doesn't make it so. I can say I'm the most intelligent person on the planet. Doesn't make it so. Saying it is one thing. The reality is different. If you think you're the best at something, or if you think we are the best at something, we better take a second look at other places where the people's happy index is much larger. So here's the thing. We were a country back moving out from the 40s, moving into the civil rights, moving into the industrial revolution and all these other places. We were a country that was liberalizing. And what that meant is, as people became more intelligent, they started to ask important questions. And those questions were questions like, how comes I'm working so hard, having a struggle to live, while the person sitting in the office up top, whenever profits are great, he makes good money. Whenever profits are bad, he makes good money. He always drives a nice car. He always lives in a good home. He always goes to the most expensive restaurants. And those who are doing all the work, the workers, the worker bees, somehow can never get ahead, but worse. Anytime they're asked to pay taxes, anytime they're asked to contribute to society, they balk. I've earned this, is what they say. I've made my own. I've done this on my own volition. Really? Here's the funny thing. We have all those folks that are fighting in Iraq, Afghanistan. What are they fighting for? They're fighting for they're fighting for freedoms. Which wealthy person do you see out there fighting? In the old days, you had the Kennedys out there, sending their kids, doing the, I won't call it a responsible thing, but doing the right thing and going out there and fighting for the country they purport to love. They purport to love the country, so they go fight for the country. Even though they're wealthy and probably they don't have to, but they do it. Now, we have all these chicken hawks that are talking about love of country and what's theirs. What is theirs? Many of us, those that are not necessarily solely political, but those of us that are engineers and doctors and the others, we've done a whole lot, made a whole lot, and not necessarily done it for money, but at the same time, not necessarily made the type of income that would have justified what we produce for society. And that is a direct responsibility of the type of economic system that we have. So what I always ask people to do is dream on. What kind of system could make a difference? And there are systems out there that we can build upon, meaning using the best part of our system with the best part of other systems to come up with something that works. But electing celebrities, electing Oprahs, electing all these other folks just isn't the answer. What do they know what do they know about the economic system that'll make something better for you? Other than you saying liking a personality, what are they doing for you? What can they do for you? For those people who were misinformed enough to elect a Donald Trump, for those people who elected Donald Trump, I feel for them, right? These people were in dire straits. A lot of people are going to say, Berto, it has nothing to do with economics. It has to do with racism. And, look, there's a lot that has to do with racism. And because they're not mutually exclusive. Something can be caused by racism, and at the same time, it can also be an economic issue. I rest my case with the election of President Obama. And I tell this story all the time, and I think it's bear repeating to those who are listening right now. There was a canvasser for President Obama going out there in Pennsylvania, and they happened to canvass a particular home. And this home, the wife and the husband at the home, and the canvasser asks, the wife answered the door, and the canvasser asked the wife, who are they voting for? And the wife shouts to the husband, honey, and by the way, I'm a feminist. I haven't a clue why this woman asked the husband and just said, I'm voting for this person. Honey, who are you voting for? But she asked, honey, who are we voting for? And the response from the man was shocking. And I'll use the verbiage. He said, honey, just tell them we're voting for the nigger. That is when I knew, when that story came out, that is when I knew President Obama was going to win the election, because he superseded racism. Those people were in such dire straits during the 2008 crash and before, that immaterial to their own prejudice, they were going to put somebody in there that did something for them. And that's how a lot of times I feel about Donald Trump. Donald Trump was the double whammy. He could bring the racist overtone necessary to get the attention, but he also built on the distress that many people had with the current state of the economy. They're not mutually exclusive at all. They are not mutually exclusive at all. So we would make the same mistake if we thought bringing in an Oprah Winfrey or bringing in some celebrity to be the president on the left side would solve some problem. The first part about it is, anyone who believes that Oprah Winfrey would be a staunch liberal or a progressive who is going to do the things the way they should, who is going to have appropriate redistribution of the wealth of the wealthy, which was ill-gained, rest assured that's not going to happen. Because that at the level that Oprah is at this point in time, it is more likely that she would ensure the protection of her wealth than anything else, just like all the other billionaires ensure the protection of their wealth. Is this about bashing those that are wealthy? Absolutely not. This is about bashing an economic system that allowed them to get wealthy legally. Meaning, when I say wealthy, it's not against wealth, but to get a level of wealth above and beyond most citizens, not because of their own intellect, not because of their own wherewithal, but because simply we have an economic model that allows it. Why should a stockbroker make more than a teacher because he's just playing around with money? It makes no sense. Why should an engineer make less than a stockbroker? Why should a banker make the type of monies that they have? Because they are in control of the system. And the question then is, how do you reverse that? Remember, that is what government is for. Why do these people hate government so badly? Because an educated population would start to make decisions. An educated population would elect people who would pass policies that ensures that no one can game the system. When you hear small government, when you hear little government, when you hear we don't want government, what you're hearing is a fear from the plutocracy, a fear from the class of wealth who doesn't want government for a specific reason. Because when you have government by and of the people, what's going to happen then is the people, an intelligent population that is, a population that is educated, wouldn't tolerate what we have today. So we should really start thinking twice about what we want in 2018 and 2020. What should we do in 2018? We should start by moving the bar. We have to move the bar. And how do we move the bar? We continuously engage people. We continuously tell folk at their level. We continuously explain to them at their level what it is that needs to be done in this country to make it better for everybody else. And it's not an easy task. It is to put it bluntly, it's a very difficult task. I'm telling you out of experience, talking to people, getting them to forget all that they've learned over the very, very, very many years is difficult. When you hear things like tax cuts improve an economy, many people take it at face value. I'm going to have another show completely on the economy, and that's not today, but I just want to make a mention on this. There are many items that we hear. Taxes makes an economy, or rather, reduced taxes somehow is better for the economy. One of the biggest lies there's out there. I ask you to just use your common sense, right? When you have $1, and that dollar goes to a private company who's going to provide a service, that dollar immediately is less. Why? Because that dollar going to a private company is directly a resultant of an increase in wealth of an individual or the individuals who own that company. So let's do two things. Let's say, and by the way, I am not articulating communism here, because a lot of people, that's the first thing they're going to hit on. Communism. No, I believe in two types of a system that is a hybrid of economies. And let me give an example. Let's use it in healthcare. They want to privatize the payment of healthcare. I pay $1 for healthcare to the insurance companies. The insurance company makes a profit for their shareholders, and they spend a whole lot of money to pay a whole lot of executives, and they spend a whole lot of money on advertising. And then to pay all the medical bills from that insurance premium that they've been collecting from everybody, they ask for one thing. They say, let's try to deny coverage as best we can to minimize our risk and to give more to those who own the company. A system where there is a single payer, or not even necessarily a single payer, a system where there is no profit to pay a bill. The reason for profit is for you to come up with innovative things, right? When I develop my software, I develop my software so that I could send my kid to college, buy a home, buy my cars, etc., etc. I use the profits to do that. Good thing. But you know what? If my company fell under, it didn't affect anybody. It affected me. But there are certain things that affect everybody. Healthcare, a minimum amount of food, a minimum amount of water. That affects people. Those things should not be in the private system. Those things should not be controlled by somebody who has the power to deny it from you. That should be where we make the separation between what should be private and what should be run by somebody else. It's simple, but nobody wants to have that conversations because it is too logical. And having that logical conversation starts to worry the plutocracy, because the wealth of the plutocracy is dependent on screwing you. And it's not that they're bad. It's just that that's how it works. If I want to have a hell of a lot more money than you, and I don't have a hell of a lot more talent than you do, I have to create a political system that gives me the wherewithal to do so. And that's what we have. We have a political system that, it doesn't really reward the best of us. It rewards the most cracks of us. Think about it. Think about all the very wealthy people. Yeah, there are some good wealthy folk out there. But think of the majority of, it's not that they're doing these great things for society. So that is a system that we have. And that is the stuff that we have to work against. And Oprah is not going to solve it. Donald Trump is not going to solve it. What's going to solve it is for us to, like I said in item number 1, for us to start educating folk. We have to start educating people. Remove the indoctrination that's been instituted by the Powell Manifesto. You should go to my website, egbertowillies.com, and look up the Powell Manifesto and read it. It's a document written by a Democrat named Lewis Powell, who became a Supreme Court justice appointed by a Republican, Richard Nixon. Why did I specify Democrat and Republican? Because I always talk about people believing that these guys are different. Yes, there is a difference. I'm not going to try to create false equivalences, but when it comes to neoliberalism, they are all the same. And what do I mean by that? These are the guys who believe in the type of economies that we have, and this is the type of economy that simply doesn't work. It falls on its face. I mean, you can't have the wealthy, small wealthy people growing at 7% and the rest of the economy growing at 2%. It's a mathematical impossibility, right? If you have a pie and a part of the pie is growing faster than the other, the pie is going to deform. And if the pie doesn't deform, what happens is constantly the wealthy keeps taking a bigger piece of it. And if they eventually keep getting a bigger piece of it, anybody who remembers calculus, the derivative, eventually it goes to zero. Well, and technically speaking, it never goes to zero. It always becomes a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of a fraction. So therefore, that is what occurs in our economic system based on how it is now. And how do we mitigate that? We mitigate that, first of all, educating people. We got to educate folk. We have to listen to programs like this. And by the way, folks, those of you who are listening to this thing, you have to share this kind of stuff. And the reason why is that you're not going to hear anybody hit our economic system like this on MSNBC, MSNBC, and all these other stations. And the reason you're not going to hear that is that their bills are being paid for people who have a vested interest in things staying exactly the way they are. If you want things to stay exactly the way you are, elect the Trumps, elect the Oprahs, elect all these other people, because the reality is they are no different. At the edges, they're different, but they're no different than the general direction that all these goes. You notice Donald Trump promised his people a whole lot of stuff, and when he got into office, what did he do? He passed a tax bill that screwed them all. He passed a tax bill that included health care that screwed them all as well. That is what happens. Now, you have to culturize those people who you want elected into office. You have to work at it, and you have to make sure and keep abreast of what's going on to ensure that's there. And my last point, the third point was, we must elect a president that is different from everyone we have chosen so far. We need a charismatic person who understands economic systems and their inner workings to ensure that the wards of the plutocracy are unable to snow him or her into policies that maintain the status quo. Now, this post isn't about wealth or income envy. It is about asserting the worth of every American. It is about every American getting we the people's fair share of our entire economy. It is about realizing that the wealthy really, and this may sound strange, but the wealthy owes us all. I mean, think about it. Everything that wealthy person got is the aggregate consuming of you. The aggregate consuming that you provide is what makes the wealthy wealthy. Without you, they ain't got it. And we have to remember those things. We have to empower ourselves. We have to be the ones that are not fearful. And you know, a lot of people hear there's a big guy coming into town, a rich guy coming into town, and people are ready to adore him or want to be. Look, we have to reach a stage in our game now, you know, where, you know, they bleed red, they sweat, they do they're no different. That they've attained some level of financial success in our system, a skewed system. No, good for them. No envy necessary, but no adoration needed either. The adoration is needed for whatever system it is that we come up with. And that is one of the things Politics Done Right is going to be doing throughout its daily shows. And that is going to be telling us, moving on us, telling all of us that we have to, first of all, grow a spine. Not only grow a spine, but realize that we are that for us to maintain control of this system, we have to engage this system. And don't ever fear that somehow you don't have the power to do so, because you do. We've seen it in action over the last several weeks. Yes, we lost the tax debate. Well, we didn't lose the tax debate. we lost the tax vote. We lost the tax vote because these politicians, notice what they're doing. They're falling left and right now. They're not running. They know it was the last vote they cast as a politician. They know it. But they know there's also a payoff. They know that they will be paid off for what they did with this bill. So we have a lot of work to do. We're coming close to the end of the show. We're still sorry for the mishaps that we had earlier on. We're using a Wirecast broadcast system, which we spent quite a bit for, but it crashed. And so we had to come back later. We'll be back tomorrow at KPFT 90.1 FM. So we'll be coming live directly from the KPFT studios. We won't be doing it from the studio here, but Friday we'll be back again. I'm not sure who we're going to have on Friday, or if we'll have somebody on, or we'll just ramble and try to get you going. Our telephone system we hope to have up pretty soon. We're still working with Wirecast to see what's the best way to integrate them all so that you can participate in this program. Because the only reason we're having a daily show is not for me to come on this screen and rant. Well, these aren't rants, these are facts, but to talk. But it's to hear your point of view, and not only hear your point of view, but see how together we can arrange things to ensure that we can move forward. So folks, please remember, again, share these programs. It is very important because these are issues that you're that you won't get on the mainstream media. So we need to have you share these things. And don't forget also, contribute to independent media. I mean, if you like this show, feel free to contribute to this show too. I have that link down there that if you want to go ahead and be a part of the progressive movement, be a part of getting things done. That is what we do here. That is what we intend to do here. We work hard, I can tell you, very hard, to bring you valid information, valid news. We work hard to give good opinions, and we work hard to really try to engage Americans everywhere to be a part of the body politic. So again, please be a part. Remember, we're a daily show every weekday at 3 p.m. Central. On Thursdays, we work out of the KPFT, the Pacifica Network stations. And during the week, we're on the Coffee Party Network, which is what we're on right now. We're on the Coffee Party Network during the week. So be a part of it. And don't forget, visit coffeepartyusa.com as well. But this is the end of the show. You guys have a wonderful, wonderful rest of the day.
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Williams. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Williams. Let us engage. It is politics done right.
1, 2, 3, 4.